My husband, Ketan Patel, is joining us, and we're talking to Mike Edwards about questions about owning an inLIFE franchise.
Awesome. And thank you both very much for this opportunity. So let's start at the beginning. You guys are franchise owners in Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think currently you have 3 locations.
That's right. We have 2 open, and we're about to open our 3rd one as well.
And you opened all 3, or I should say you committed to all 3 in like last 6 to 9 months, or is that correct?
Yeah, exactly right. So first one opened up in middle of December, the second one in the middle of February, and this 3rd one we're building, so it'll be opening up in September.
And that's amazing. That's aggressive, and so you guys must be having some good success. And so let's talk about it. Let's go back to that one you opened in December. You know, what initially brought you to inLIFE? Were you looking for a franchise? How did you get there?
I'll let Tejal cover that one.
So we kind of, in the back of our minds, always sort of knew we wanted to have a business. Both of us have corporate jobs, and neither one of us are like Pilates instructors. How we found it is our daughter, when she started working, she ended up working in a location that was close to the Addison location. So of course, you know, she got the Facebook ads. She decided to look into it, and she became a member in the Addison location. After a few months, Scott tapped her on the shoulder and said, "Hey, are you interested in becoming an instructor?" And so she went through the certification process, became an instructor. And then kind of around that same time, I started having, I don't know, a work-life balance crisis. And so I started thinking, you know, what else can we do? And so I started looking into this franchise model. And of course, at this point, I think there was only 3 in the Dallas area. There was 2, and one was about to open. And so inLIFE Wellness, brand new brand, you know, no one knows about it. But I kind of looked into the business model, and it just seemed to kind of fit all of what we were looking for as a family. And so that's when we decided to go for it.
That's great. And so your daughter became, quote, the manager of this first location?
She is the manager for all 3. So she has now quit her job and is now working for us full time.
And with this location, you opened back in December, and I know that inLIFE has a process to, I think it's 16 weeks to market, to find initial members to sign up before you open. How did that process go? How did it, you know, what was the number of members that signed up before you opened, and where are you today with that number?
So both of our openings got pushed out a little bit, right? So it was a little bit longer than 16 weeks. Capel opened with about 177 members, and that's kind of where we're at today. And Flower Mound
That's the location, correct?
Capel's the first one. Capel's December.
Okay.
Flower Mound opened in February. And we opened with like 277 members, and that's still pretty much where we are today.
Yeah, the membership will go up and down month over month, right? So you'll add members while you'll have some retraction as well, but the numbers are staying pretty consistent in terms of just the overall membership from initial opening until now.
So the 177, that's close to like the 200 number. I think it's a little over 200 that inLIFE likes to open with. And certainly the Capel location at 277. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, both of them got to the 200 number, right? Obviously, Capel reached up to 200, but then there was a little bit of retraction, especially during the summer months, right? There's going to be some cyclical cycles where folks are putting their membership, just pausing it or putting it on hold, or et cetera. But we expect those members to come back in the fall. But right now, if you think about active members, there's about 177.
Okay, great. And for those 2 locations, what is the size? How many reformers do you have?
Yeah, the Capel location is our larger location in terms of square footage, right? It's probably the largest one, I think, maybe in the portfolio. It's over, Tejal, how big is it? 2,300 square feet or
It's
2,000?
2,300 square feet.
2,300 square feet. That's a very large location, right? We have 16 reformers in that location. We can probably fit a lot more because that space is so wide and so expansive. But we started with the 16, and I think it's a number for us because that's what the membership likes, is to keep that class size fairly small because you get that more one-on-one attention. And then our Flowerman location is
1,900.
1,900 square feet. So.
And so that first location kind of falls, I think, in the range they'd like to see it, or inLIFE would like to go with about 1,800 square feet.
1,800 square feet, that's right. Our South Lake location is going to be right at that number, 1,790 square feet. That's our third location. So the first two are a little bit larger than what the minimum requirements are. But again, it's all dependent on the space that you get and the location.
Sure.
Et cetera, so.
And so you opted for, like you said, with the larger location, just to have a little more space. You space the reformers out, but roughly the same amount. So with those two locations, again, the one in December, the other one a little bit newer, but still both very new. How was the process of finding instructors for those locations?
It hasn't been bad. We are a little bit more challenged in the fact that we are further west than the rest of the locations. We are closer to the airport, and so a lot of the instructors that are in the system, they tend to rotate amongst all the inLIFEs, and we're just a little bit further out there. So we've had to try to draw more on trying to train people from our existing membership base to become instructors, and we've been pretty successful with that.
Yeah. I will say though, inLIFE does a really good job. It's almost like it's a community, right? So those instructors will work through the different locations, so everybody gets to know each other and support each other, right? So they do a really good job of helping us find instructors, go through the certification programs, et cetera. So you definitely have the support of the corporate office to help find instructors and get them certified.
And that was your daughter's path, right? From member to instructor, instructor
Right.
to owner. So, you're kind of repeating. I've heard that over time and time again, from member to instructor to owner. So that's a great process. But obviously, with you opening multiple locations, you now have it there on tap, and you got the instructors. That's fantastic. So what's been the biggest both success, challenge, story, anything you'd like to talk about with the locations? What makes inLIFE different? I know in Dallas there's a lot of other Pilates places. What makes it unique?
I think so. One thing that we foster is a sense of community, and one of the ways we do that is with tea. So all of the inLIFE locations have a table in the back by the cubbies, and there's a pot of tea with cups. And the members actually love it. I know it's not as popular here as it seems to be in Australia, but the members love it. They will drink the tea in the chat, and they chat. And our daughter Anissa sometimes has to kind of like push them out because it's time for the next class. So they have to leave so that the new people can come in. But the tea and just that kind of community that it's fostering has been just very surprising.
That's actually, I actually seen this setup. I came to Dallas to visit Scott and went to one of the studios, and I did see this.
I think it was
setup.
one of ours.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Awesome. So let's talk about that, right? inLIFE is very expressive about community, very inclusive, it sounds like. What does that look like? Like, do you have very diverse members, or how does that translate? People love the tea. That's great. They come back to the tea. What else?
We do have a diverse membership. We're not necessarily targeting to, the post-college graduate. So we do have a range. I mean, most of them are moms, but we do have daughters. We do have people who found us organically. We have and then we've got older people that are working on their hip problems or whatever. And so we do have quite the range, and our instructors are able to adapt to everyone's needs.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest piece, right? The inLIFE program is a adaptable and flexible program for the members, right? So you can have a group of 16 folks in a class. A few of those members will be very experienced in Pilates, and the instructors will push them accordingly. Whereas you may have some other members, like Tejal mentioned, that maybe are having some medical issues or problems, and they're more adaptable in changing their routines, right? All within the same class, which is a little bit unheard of, right? Because sometimes some of these other studios, it's just the class is the class, and doesn't matter what your experience level is, they're going to teach it accordingly, right? Based on that class, where we try to adapt based on the members.
That's great. So there's a little more hands-on for that inclusivity. There's a wider range from 30, maybe up to 70. But with the great trainer, that person is really working individually through the class.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, even though it's a group setting, yeah, you almost give them the individual attention.
And then we don't have headsets. We don't have crazy loud music. So, we're definitely, trying to reach more of a broader audience, right?
Yeah, and it seems to have worked. Like you said, your memberships will ebb and flow, but it sounds like it's been consistent. So you tell me, I mean, for the most part, you have a good repeat customer, and that person continues to come back. Great.
Yeah.
And so turning to your daughter, who going to manage 3, but manages the 2. What does her role look like? What does she do day to day on a weekly basis? How is that manager role?
So she keeps track of the instructor schedules, right? So she ensures that we have all of our classes fully staffed. And then she also keeps on top of, our class offerings, right? Like, are we offering the classes at the right amount of times? Is this what people want? She follows up on member emails and questions. She follows up on leads, right? Any leads that we get, she follows up. And what am I missing? What else does she do?
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, does she need to spend time recruiting more instructors? I mean, as she spends time talking to the current members and cultivating again that culture and environment atmosphere. And that's great. But does she have to spend a lot of time going out there and finding new members or finding instructors? How does that look like?
She doesn't have to. Like, it's been like the marketing that we've been doing through Facebook has been good enough to like keep our membership consistent. I forgot, she also does teach some classes. So the members actually get to know her as well, since she's also teaching.
That's great. So she doesn't have to, because and again, you talked about members feel part of the culture, and so members kind of come up and take the place of instructors that may have left. So you always have the recruiting of members to be the next instructor.
Right. And then inLIFE as a whole, I think we do certification training 3 times a year. And so we're trying to constantly, bring new people into the rotation. So
Sure. Now, you guys said, when you first start off, you weren't looking for a franchise, and, your daughter kind of brought this opportunity to you. So, now that you're 9 months into being franchise owners, is it what you expected? I mean, what do you think of the success or obstacles? What's been the challenges? Anything you want to talk about from that viewpoint?
Yeah, no, I think we actually been very pleased, right, with the 2 that we have open, right? You learn something better, you learn something more each time you open a location, right? So we just happen to open 2 like within a very short period of time. I'm not sure if most most owners do that, right? So so it was a little bit eye-opening, right? Because we were opening two simultaneously, working on two build-outs with all the drive membership drives, etc. So, but now that we're in it, we're very pleased with how both facilities are functioning and going. And we've learned from those two facilities and how we do our third. And then, by the way, we're going to be getting to our fourth and fifth and sixth one, right? So, you know, the goal is not to stop at 3. We're going to be continuing to expand as we move.
So that's amazing because you're going to have 3 in your first year. I mean, what's your timeline for 4, 5, 6?
I'm already pushing Tejal right now to go find the fourth one, right? So
Really?
yeah, as soon as South Lake opens in September, if we find the right location and opportunity, we will go forward with it now, while we're doing it, right? So yeah, I'm not about to wait. Like I said, I believe in the model. I believe in the franchise. The support group is overwhelming, right? With the owners and Scott and Shane and some other folks that we work here. So super excited about just continuing the expansion. So yeah, we'll probably open another 1 or 2 hopefully by the end of the year, or getting close to it as well.
So that's amazing. I mean, you think about it, you know, your first time franchise owners as of past December, in your first year, you're targeting 4 or 5 locations and continuing to grow. I mean, truly, that's amazing. So congratulations on that success.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're happy. Now let's talk about, you know, your daughter manages the day-to-day. You guys are the owners. Mm-hmm. And that is a very popular model to be the manager model. So what does your role look like? What do you guys do day-to-day or on a weekly basis? What does that look like?
I would say, I'll let Tejal answer that, but I'm like I'm the weekend guy, right? So making sure the studios are kept up to date, right? Making sure they're stocked, they're well stocked, they're clean, etc. Tejal will obviously work with Nisa on a day-to-day basis, just the logistics and the day-to-day stuff that happens. But she and Anissa are the ones that really run it on a day-to-day basis, and then I kind of pitch in on the side on the weekends, etc. when they need me.
So that sounds like, and again, that probably allows you to grow to 4, 5, 6. Yeah. You have the managers in place, you get the instructors in place. Again, that process, define the members, that's going to ebb and flow a little bit. But it doesn't sound like it's taken a ton of your time as the manager owner model. So you're able to spend X amount of time a week and just continue growing because it's not taking all your time.
Yeah, and you have to remember, Tejal and I have full-time jobs, right? So we work during the day. So like I said, so with the manage the manager model, it works well for us, right? Because we also have other obligations and work duties as well. So.
I mean, even with the manager though, I have been a little surprised at how much of my time it still does take, right? Because, you know, like all the financial decisions are still mine, right? So, you know, I have to follow up the sales and marketing, you know, I have to pay our bills, just, you know, those other types of things, like very kind of administrative, like it takes more time than I thought it would. Like I thought with my daughter, like doing the day-to-day stuff, I thought I was going to be kind of like a little more hands-off than I actually am.
The weekend warrior, like your husband.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it takes some time to do that, and that makes a lot of sense. But again, you have a full-time job, both of you, and you still have enough time to manage that and to open more locations. So that's great. And you talked about support, right? And support from Scott, Shane, Joe. What does that look like? I mean, do you need them on a weekly basis? You turn to them for XYZ? What does that look like?
It kind of just depends. You know, probably about a month or so ago, we started really looking at our utilization of our classes. And so, you know, I was talking to Shane and Joe quite a bit during that time, right? As we were trying to figure out like what classes to remove off our schedule and like how to shuffle it, you know, and, you know, just trying to figure out what would work best, right? So, you know, and then I've been having some conversations with how better to market for South Lake. So that's also, so I've been talking to Shane a lot more, but I can also go like 2-3 weeks without actually talking to him. So it just kind of depends on like what's going on.
And they're accessible. They're easy to get a hold of, email, phone call, text, and a good responsive team to your needs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, they're wonderful, right? Like I said, they're there for you when you need them. And they'll even check in every once in a while, right? If we haven't called them in a few weeks, they'll call us to say, hey, how are things going? Do you need anything, right? Et cetera. So,
I mean, I know Scott's in Australia. Any contact with Scott here and there?
Not as much, right? Like Scott was here almost to the December opening. I think they left in like late October. And so, I mean, Scott's the one that walked the places with us, right? Like when we were looking for our locations, Scott came with us, gave us feedback on all the locations we saw, helped us out on, the timetable on how to order things, what to get ordered. So Scott was definitely very hands-on, until he returned to Australia, and then Shane took his place.
That's great. So Shane and Joe, Scott came with Shane and Joe and put them in place, and they're taking over the support functions. So you talked about, when Scott was here, and again, that was in the beginning because you guys were location number 3 or 4.
mm-hmm.
Are all those services in place? And I know Dallas is growing very successfully with more owners, but for people to look for that 1,800 square foot, to find a GC, a team to do all the pre-marketing, that process of finding instructors. Is there a program for everything in place for marketing, right? To find the instructors, train the instructors, find a location, negotiate the lease. Is all of that in place?
I would say so.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, most of that's in place. And if it's not, they certainly have contacts and individuals that they can put you in touch with if you need that assistance, right? So, like I said, the first 1 or 2 were a learning experience. For now, we've gotten the hang of it, so we know what we are looking for now as we move forward in locations, etc. So we don't need as much guidance from Scott and Shane as we do in selecting a new location, but we will call them and say, hey, what do you guys think, right, of this location?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I'll have bring Shane along to walk the space before we were to sign another lease.
Yeah.
And I do understand, right, when we're talking about new locations, a big advantage inLIFE has over some of the competition is the lower all-in build-out cost. And correct me, right? I understand it should be in the range of 200 to 250,000 in terms of the build-out itself.
Yeah, that's correct. Now, it would depend on what type of build you're doing, right? If you're taking over an existing space or versus building a brand new space, right? So obviously a brand new space is going to cost you a little bit more because you have to put in the plumbing and the AC units and everything else. But for the most part, the build out cost is in that range that you're talking about. And like I said, you get smarter as you go, right? So if you find a location that already has multiple bathrooms, well, that costs you less money, right? Because you don't have to go build a new bathroom, right? Which could be, it could be, $20,000, $30,000 depending on what that looks like, right? But 200, 250 is the right number from that perspective. Yeah.
Now, as you guys were early. I can't believe I'm saying just December is early, right? We're just and the brand is growing. I mean, do you find that there's a lot more people that recognize inLIFE? It's starting to become, a recognized brand in Dallas. How's that going?
Take all the change for that one.
I would say we're still pretty new.
First year.
Yeah, I mean, we're still pretty new, right? Like everybody knows Club Pilates, right? Like Club Pilates is like the standard. Yeah. And I would say like even some of the other brands aren't as well known, right? Like everyone knows Club Pilates, and then there's like the rest of us. So I don't think that like we have no brand recognition at all. It's just that.
Yeah, and I don't think it hurt us though, right? Yeah, so it's only going to help us as we build more studios in the
Right.
area, right? Because you remember we were number 3 or 4 or whatever it was, right? So there wasn't really a brand recognition when we first opened our studios, and they've both been very successful, right? So now with South Lake opening, you have so many other studios that are already are in the process or have been open, right, in the north side of Dallas. So the brand is starting to build a reputation, and starting to build a name for itself. But I don't think that's necessarily something that prospective owners should be worried about. Because you're going to build your clientele.
And that's one of the reasons, right? It's compelling that you want to grow to 4, 5, 6, and maybe beyond, because it is still early, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's
not
right.
taken on in every city, and there's still opportunity. So it sounds like the brand is in its beginnings here in Dallas and the US, but it's really starting to grow.
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
have this
absolutely.
conversation next year this time. You may be at 4, 5, 6.
I will be at 4, 5, 6. So let's have that conversation right next time. This is the time. Yeah.
That's awesome. And we will have that conversation. So, like anything you want to talk about, like anything I'm missing, anything a new owner should know about, anything you want to, you guys got in, you didn't have franchise or business ownership experience. inLIFE sounds like, made it good. You guys, of course, put in a ton of work. I'm sure your daughter puts in a ton of work. But I mean, what's one piece of advice you would give a brand new owner looking to do this?
You're going to have to be a little bit flexible, right? So it's not going to go perfect, right? So nothing ever does, right? So you're going to face a little bit of challenges, right? As you build out, like with any normal business, right? There's going to be some challenges that you have to just get through from an adversity perspective, right? Ours was like we had one particular studio in Flower Mound. It was a delayed opening, right? Nothing to do with our build out, but more to do with the building itself, right? From a fire code perspective, et cetera. So that put us back a little bit, right? The South Lake location, you think, oh, you've done these two, this one's going to be the same way. No, every city's a little bit different with their permits and how they and their or city codes and ordinance and things like that. So you just have to be landlord.
Every landlord has a personality.
That's a great one, actually, right? The landlord, right? So I would say one thing that I would suggest is really do some due diligence on the landlord, right? Because if you jump in too quickly, you may find that landlord is pretty restrictive on certain way how he wants certain things done, et cetera. And that might not be the right fit, right? So definitely do the due diligence on the landlord, because that will make your life a lot easier, or it's going to make it very, very difficult, right? So.
But in terms, and thank you, and that's great advice. In terms of everything else, in terms of the reformers, the marketing, again, that's all in place.
All perfect, right? So you actually order the reformers through Scott, right? So he has a source. I believe he's based in Australia. So those reformers will be shipped from overseas, right? All of your promotional items, same thing, right? There's already sourced vendors that you can do. So you don't have to go find your own vendors, right? They have sourced vendors already for you that you can utilize. You can certainly go on your own if you like, but that's what I'm saying. The support structure is there already and it's already in place. So that made the job a lot easier for us, because we would have no idea how to go buy some of this stuff, right? So they were very helpful in providing that guidance and support.
And great. In terms of the last piece, right, the ongoing marketing, again, there's a vendor that helps you guys with that monthly marketing. And again, you're just talking that daily ebb and flow, that monthly, weekly ebb and flow, but all of that's in place to keep, if members do leave, some new members coming in.
Yep, that's correct. I will say on the marketing side, again, it's also location specific, right? So our marketing program that we put in place for Capella and Flower Mound worked great. For South Lake, we had to get a little bit more creative, just because the city that we're in, the location that we're in, et cetera. The clientele is a little bit different. South Lake is a lot more affluent than some of these other markets. So you have to go market to them a little bit differently, right? So as long as you're able to pick a marketing vendor and partner that's going to be able to adaptable and be flexible with you based on the needs of the demographics that you're trying to attract, you'll be fine, right? But it's not a cookie. For the most part, it's cookie cutter, but every once in a while you may have to deviate a little bit, and you just want to pick a vendor that's going to be able to deviate with you.
And just because you brought it up, right? Its location caters to a more affluent customer. and you
Yeah.
said you had to do a little bit different. What does that look like? What are you doing different for that customer?
We actually kind of deviated from the playbook, and we're using a different marketing company. Someone that's
Okay.
actually in the US. The other marketing company is based in Australia, but and of course, Shane and Scott, we've had multiple conversations with this, right? Like, we didn't go out on a limb and do this on our own, but, we just thought that maybe someone a little bit more local might be better able to kind of assess the needs than someone based in Australia.
Yeah,
Sure.
but we're also doing a little bit other creative things. Like, we're doing more pop-up events, right, with other vendors, like within the area, right? We're doing supporting of the booster clubs and the schools within the area, right, from a sponsorship perspective, right? So those are things that we didn't typically do for the first two locations. We're doing it now because we're doing it for South Lake, right? But so we're getting a little bit more creative and more out of the box in terms of just the standard protocols that most of the students are using for our South Lake location.
And it sounds like Shane and Scott totally were behind this and helped you guys probably.
Oh yeah, we work with them side by side, right? We wouldn't do anything without their perspective and their viewpoint, just to make sure we're on the right track of how we're doing things. So they've both been very supportive of the unique changes that we're making for our South Lake location.
And that's great. And that probably even will give you that extra push to ingrain you into the community, right? Once you
That's
open.
right.
So,
Yep.
Right, and that's kind of what our sense is how we're going to be able to like grow our brand in that community. Is we're going to have to like ingrain ourselves in this community so that they just name recognition is going to like grow our brand, and so that's our aim.
Yeah, word of mouth and referrals are going to be a key, right? So if you can get a good set of members who love you, which and they will sell it themselves, right? So I think both of our studios, right, both Capel and Flowerman, grew from that word of mouth just because people love the studio, and next thing you know, they're bringing in their friends, and their friends are bringing in their friends, etc. So
that's amazing. So I mean, really, that culture is making a difference. The inLIFE way of being, that tea is magical. So
it is magical. Yes.
Great. And again, guys, thank you very much for the time today. Did I leave anything? I got one more question, but anything else you feel I should have asked or brought up?
I don't think so. Like I said, we've been super happy with the brand, right? So super excited of what the future can hold for us, right? From that perspective, look, welcome the new prospective owners, right? To follow the experience. So it is going to be something that each owner has to kind of assess on their own in terms of, is this a viable market for them or not. But we jumped in, we love it, and we'll continue to support it.
I'll change my last question. My last question was easy, and you guys already basically answered it 10 times over. In terms of all the owners in Dallas, and it sounds like more coming on, do you guys communicate with each other, talk to each other, and share best practices?
Anissa does with the owners.
Not so much. Anissa has a better sense of who all the owners are. There's because some of them have like reached out to her just to ask her questions about like, well, how did you do this or how did you do that? So I think she has spoken to all of them. I haven't, but
and it's probably a little different, right? To your point about you guys being the owner, she's the day-to-day manager, and she's talking.
Yeah, Anissa's the manager, so she's going to have more contact with them than like we really are not as active in terms of those students. Anissa, everything goes through Anissa basically. So
yeah, again, that's her role as the manager.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time and allowing me to ask questions. So I appreciate it. And I will take you up on that offer. Next year, we'll be talking about 4, 5, 6 and how they're doing. So it's
hopefully next year I'm in a different city, right? Maybe I'm in a different state. Who knows, right? We'll see. We'll see where we can do this with Scott and Shane. So
that's awesome. I love that. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.